prevailed not only through the academic challenges, but also the personal stress and turmoil that came along with the pandemic. In fact, there are probably many of you here who pictured this day a little differently. Maybe there isn't someone here who you expected to be, but to those who are here, we thank you. We thank you for uplifting us when things got dark, providing us support when we needed it, and most of all, we thank you for dealing with our cranky attitudes when the stress became too much.
We all decided to pursue higher education to gain more knowledge that will equip us for our own future plans. But why did we choose the University of New Haven compared to any other school? I feel that we all, undergraduate and graduate students, faculty, and staff, chose the University of New Haven not only for our academic or career opportunities and goals, but for a different, more personal reason. The atmosphere that we create for the entire Charger community is one that feels like home. The reality is, school is school no matter where you go to pursue it. No matter which college or university an individual decides to attend, we're there to be students, to attend our classes, and to pursue a higher educational opportunity. With that being said, it is our experience outside of the classroom that makes our university experience what it is.
I met all kinds of different people. I came across different events, clubs, sport games that I never saw before when I lived in the Dominican Republic. But most important of all, I learned a couple of life lessons that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. One of those life lessons that resonated the most with me was one that I experienced my junior year. I was looking for internships and I kept getting rejected. And anyone who knows me knows how I got rejected from more than 50 internships. Once I got rejected from the first 5 internships, I felt defeated. However, I knew that I shouldn't stop trying. And one day, looking for inspiration, I came across this quote: "You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take." I know, very cliche, but that was it. That was all I needed.
From participating in the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship during my transitioning summer from freshman to sophomore year, to hosting the university's inaugural TEDx event, and even switching my major 3 times, I learned how to apply all 3 fundamentals to navigate the unfamiliarity by freezing to take a step back and understand the deeper meaning, taking flight by taking the leap of faith, or in my case, a literal flight, and fighting through the hardships and beating the fear. I feel that all moments in life, be it good or bad, are opportunities to learn and to realize any disguised blessings.
The end of a chapter in one's collegiate career, especially in undergraduate one, comes with a confusing sea of wildly conflicting emotions. But I suppose I don't need to tell most of the story. The one emotion I've seen win out too many times in my classmates is that fear of falling short. They focus so much on their future that they forget to celebrate their accomplishments. Ready to sprint to the next marathon without stopping to notice that they just won the last one. And my friends, we are about to cross the finish line of a multi-year-long marathon. We need to pause and celebrate our growth and accomplishments and all that we have overcome. Then we can look to the future that we are all so willing to plan.
There is power in education. There is power in pushing through. It's important that as first generation students, we're not only the first, but to make sure that we are just not the last. I'm from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico. And to those of you who may not know exactly where that is, it's a town close by to San Juan. And this is where I grew up, where I learned to read, where I learned to write, where I learned to have a love for education. Somewhere along the way, my parents decided that we should move to the States for more opportunities and for a better education. In my first few years in the States, I had to relearn how to love school all over again. Spanish was my first language, and although English is spoken on my island, I was not as knowledgeable as I am right now. So I went from being a straight A student to not being able to do my work due to the language barriers. And that was really hard. I remember walking around with a dictionary to look up words as people would speak to me. And I had to learn to have that learned for education all over again. I specifically remember not being able to spell the word because, and I will always forget the U and the because, and I will say it out loud, B-K-U-C. I would write it all over my hand, write it all over the desk. It was insane. And despite the challenges, I was able to persevere for my love for learning, the passion that was still there. And this is just like us now. After all the Zoom screens and all the other barriers this pandemic brought forward to us, we persevered because of our passion to learn and finished what we started.
As I graduate, I leap back into the real world where I began my career. How many of us graduated and thought we would be working for the FBI right now, or would be making a six-figure salary right out of college? I know I did. As a proud Latina woman, my goal in life was to always make my parents proud, my #1 goal. As I had graduated last May with my Bachelor's of Science in Criminal Justice and Psychology, I thought I would be established in my career right now, moving out of my parents' house and finishing my graduate degree with a 4.0. That's not always the case. As we work and study through a global pandemic, we have to remember how lucky we are to be walking across the stage for the second time now. So many of us wish to be further ahead in our careers, satisfying our goals and moving ahead in our lives.
To be resilient is to be a charger. When I say that resilience is a figment of the imagination, I don't mean that it's entirely made up or a product of capitalism telling us that 2 days off after 5 days of work is totally okay. I mean that it is unfair. It is unfair to expect that in light of the hardest things, there's always a way out and a way through. It is unfair to expect that your success depends on how hard you can work when you are broken down to your last breath. It is unfair, but it is life. And such is life to be here today, celebrating the commencement of the class of 2022, a class most deserving and most resilient.